Okay, so Pear Deck is the quickest way to convert a regular PowerPoint or Google Slides into an interactive presentation where students respond to questions by writing or drawing answers on their Pear Deck presentation. Now you control the progression of the slides and you can see all their responses live as they write. And I use this really every lesson now. It's so quick to set up and it's hugely informative. Especially in comparison to my previous lessons which were virtually silent or dominated by a couple of students who enjoyed answering every question or involved awkward coaxing of individuals to answer on their mics. But it looks a bit like this. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. What are the two types of B lymphocyte involved in the humoral response, and briefly explain their functions. Remember, it's B lymphocytes. And just a nice brief explanation of the function. Okay, so think about differentiation once these lymphocytes have been activated. Really great response there, Amelia and Olivia. Okay, so we're talking two types of B lymphocyte. We have plasma cells, remember. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is just sign on to Pear Deck. So just search Pear Deck. It will come up Pear Deck for Google Slides, or else it will come up Pear Deck for Microsoft, depending on which search engine you use. It's the same site. And we just do a teacher login. Now this has gone straight in because I previously logged in before, so you'll see it's my college login. I have taken the free trial of the premium. I've got a link that you can use to get 3 months free premium, and that will take us to at least Easter. So once you've signed up, then I'm thinking I've got a class in half an hour. So I just log on to office.com. Pear Deck works in Google Slides or it works in online PowerPoint equally well. So I go to the Office 365 page to get my shortcut for online PowerPoint. What I'll do is, again, I'm not creating anything new here. I'm going to use my old stuff. So I'll choose Upload and Open. I don't really use OneDrive, so I just go Upload and Open. And I'll just get one of my previously made slideshows from my desktop. Take a short while to open because it's quite big. Now the next thing I would do, if this is the first time I'm about to use Pear Deck, I'd go to Insert menu and go to Office Add-ins menu. And I go to Find More Add-ins at the Microsoft Store. And I search Pear Deck. Of course, I've got that already. I've previously installed it. Let's click out of there and go back to the Home tab. Now I've got the extended menu here, so my Pear Deck is right at the end. But normally, I think most people use the simplified ribbon. That means to find my Pear Deck, I'm still on the home, but I need to go to the ellipsis right at the end. Pear Deck's down there at the bottom. So I've signed in already, so this little window pops up on the right. It's still my normal PowerPoint. I just want to make it a bit more interactive, so I'm just going to insert maybe a couple of slides with questions on. So let's just do a quick refresher question, and then I just need to go to my Pear Deck window. I'll scroll down a bit and I'll choose the question type. Now there are several types of question, but this one mostly I use text, but the drawing type is quite good because then they can actually draw, or they could even draw a graph, or I can insert a website, or just write a question which requires a number answer, or I could do multiple choice. But text seems to be the one I use the most, so you just press that. All that happens is you get this thing inserted at the bottom of the slide. Now that's it. Now there are another couple of options for the types of responses, although text is probably the most frequent response. But if we look at this other slide, it is pre-prepared. But what I want the students to do here is to complete this graph. And so I'm just going to choose this draw activity. I'm going to update the slide. Again, I know it's now a Pear Deck slide because it has this little thing along the bottom of the slide. And that's going to be saved in my PowerPoint if I ever want it to use it again. I can use this PowerPoint fine as normal. My lesson's just about to start, so the only thing I have to do is press present. I'll go to the beginning actually. I want to start at the beginning, so I'll press present now. So there's a student paste, and that's when the students have control of which slide they're on. And I could put a link to that on the VLE, for example, or I could set it as a homework. Again, it's good because it's encouraging the students to read the PowerPoint, and then when they come to one of those question slides, again, they fill that in. I get a record of when they do that, of course, and it's just a little nudge to make sure they do look at the resources that I'm using. Or perhaps they just can't make the online lesson, and this is almost as good alternative to do it in their own time. But I'm going to choose the instructor paste activity. I just need to copy the link, and I'm going to post that into the team chat. And all that has to happen is the students are going to click on that. What they'll see there's this little response beginners. I can turn it off, but actually I find it quite informative. It just gives me an overall feel for mood. And they see the slides. Now they can't change slide. I'm going to change the slides. Now I'm going to see what's happening by using the teacher dashboard, and it's here that I change the slides. Remember, the students can't change the slides, so I'm just going to do a normal presentation, but to make it a bit more interactive, I've inserted those question slides. So for example, this, write the word equation for respiration. Now on a laptop, that slide's going to appear like this, with a box for filling the answer in. If the students are on a mobile or on a tablet, they'll have the slide there, and then in the bottom right they'll have a little answer question button. They just need to start answering the question there, and then as soon as they start writing, it appears in my dashboard. I can get the whole class here on this screen seeing everything as they do it. They don't need to press a submit button, which is one of the reasons I prefer this Pear Deck over Nearpod, which Nearpod, it's also a really great tool, but when they're doing text answering, they have to press submit before I see it. Now, the reason I like the fact you don't have to press submit is I can easily see if someone's just copied and pasted an answer, because the whole answer will appear instantly. So I like that part of Pear Deck. And the other real killer feature, which makes me prefer Pear Deck over Nearpod, is that I can get them to sign in with their college email. So with Nearpod, anyone can get a link and sign in, and they have to write their name on the first slide. Now with Pear Deck you don't. They're just going to sign in with their college email, and then that's saved, and I know everybody and all their responses. They're saved, and I can download them later in an Excel sheet. It's just incredibly powerful seeing all the answers come up at the same time, and you can really see misconceptions, and you can make comments when they're answering, because remember, the students can't see who's responding with what answer, though I can share responses anonymously, and that can be interesting in itself. But somehow I've found students are really keen, all level of students in any class, the GCSE class, some really weak students in there, they actually just go at it straight away. They feel totally safe answering the question. They know only I am seeing it, and I can even give individual comments back to them when they're answering if I want. Or I can make general comments, and I can comment on someone's answer, and I can give them a clue, but the rest of the class don't know who I'm talking to. So again, that interaction is much nicer than in class. On Pear Deck it's great. There's nothing to be nervous about. No one knows who I'm talking to. At the same time, if I want to, I can highlight particular answers as good examples. In the Teams, I could share the presentation screen, and that just shows the slide, or if I choose to, I can get it to show the responses, and I can highlight particular responses if I want by pressing the star, or I can just show all the responses, and that's quite a good technique later in the question, especially if a couple of people have struggled slightly. They can get some clues from other people's answers, and often not all the answers will be correct, so they still have to choose the correct version. But again, it's anonymous, so it's a really safe environment, especially for students who lack a bit of confidence. Now there are other little things you can do. For instance, again, we'll go back into the normal kind of PowerPoint and be explaining theory, but again, I keep wanting to make sure they're still interacting, and we can try a drawing slide here. In this slide, again, the presentation views is what the kids can see, but in this slide you'll see these drawing tools have appeared. So there's a special size here, make the line a bit smaller. I can draw a pencil line, change colour if I want, and I'm going to add my picture there. Again, it will show everybody's picture as they draw it. You can even get them to label the graph. And again, it's super powerful. I mean, I'm getting feedback from students here much more quickly than I would even in the class. So sometimes I might not have thought of every question I wanted to ask. I might just want to ask something spontaneously during the presentation. So I can always choose a simple prompt slide. So if I press that, I'm just going to choose a text slide, second selection here. I can even choose the slide I'm on. I can just get them to write something on this slide or draw something on this slide. But the thing I use most frequently, I think, is just please write a response. So here they haven't got the question written on the slide, but I can just quickly ask them the question. So when I want to finish, I just press end. And save. Now I can go back to the Pear Deck site where I'm logged in, and I can go to the Sessions tab. And this lists all the sessions I've previously done. I can reopen it again and look at those responses again. So I can go back into sessions. At the end, there's an option here to export to spreadsheet. And remember, they've signed in, which is, again, it's great. It's got all the responses in, and of course there's dates and times as well. I know exactly who's been engaged with this and when. Now it's under my account. I'm just gonna go to settings. I can keep that little first question on where it asks how you're feeling. I find that quite useful. There is an immersive reader option here, which again is good. And there's require student logins, so you can choose Google logins or Microsoft logins. And so that's their college email. It's absolutely great. Doesn't do that in Nearpod. They just have to write their own name in the first slide, which isn't quite as good. Again, the other thing about Nearpod is it kind of pushes you to do your stuff on the Nearpod site. Now, I just don't want to be creating some new type of presentation all the time. I've just got my PowerPoints so quick, dead easy, no new format to use, no special website like Nearpod to have to go to and upload all your stuff. You just put the add-on into your Google Slides or into your online PowerPoint and you're sorted. And when you want to actually deliver your online lesson, just press present with Pear Deck. Decide whether you're going to do a student-based activity. This is useful for people who can't attend your lesson, but you still want to know that they've looked at the slides and answered a couple of questions. Or for that online lesson. Or a blended lesson. This has worked really well in a blended lesson where a couple of people with COVID were at home. We just turned the Teams meeting on. They listened to me in class and I presented directly from the Pear Deck. So the class were watching the Pear Deck, same with those at home. And then when we got to that interactive slide, I just got the people in the class to write it down in their books. The people at home, they were writing it on the Pear Deck slide. So really great, super improved interaction in these online lessons for me. Go to that link. There is a 3-month premium offer. That could take us right till Easter. It's so easy to use this. I think it's worth using for 3 months. Doesn't mess with any of my PowerPoints or my Google Slides, but it's really going to improve my online lessons.